So, how was it for you these last 2 years? We did meet last year, so we did have the update, but we haven't really all been together in about a year, I think. So,
Well, Jen and I were talking about this morning. I feel like the spiral path is taking me to no path. I've been so attached to having a path, being on the path, making sure there's a path, recreating the path, staying safe in mapping the path. And now I'm being asked to let it all go and trust that the path just is. And I can feel my even as I share that. So it's really trusting that I am the path, that we each are, that we know, our soul knows, even if we maybe don't cognitively know or whatever's going on, that we still know our own path each step. How do we navigate like that? I guess that's where I go is like, how do we navigate knowing that even in that moment, there's still a path? Because here I am, I'm literally in the center of my spiral path over here in Cornwall. I like almost couldn't be more in the center of it where I'm living. So I'm here every day. And in the center of it, I'm letting go. And it may even be that I'm moving from here and I don't know where, except I'm trusting that there's something that's saying, you got this. You got this. And so I've been here for what, a year and 3/4, about a year and 2/3. And I really don't know what's next, but it feels like there's something else for what's next. So it feels like the spiral path has brought me here, had me experience it around me and then in me so deeply. And in that is, for me, like the spiral path is a home. Like, where's home? Where's home? In my body, where's home in my life? Where's home? And I know it's such a cliche that home is within, but I feel like that's the piece I'm dropping into. I wouldn't say dropped into yet, but that I'm really dropping more and more deeply into. And then from that place, what's next will appear.
I feel like I shared with the beginning when Sarah had asked me to kind of share what our discussion was about, and you know, calling courage and confidence to walk the spiral path. Like through these past couple years, it's like I've lived a life of feeling courageous and confident, and then I learned, oh, you can relearn how to find that again, and and that's what that path is about for me, and fierce awakenings, and I just always envisioned myself as this like when we wrote our chapters, I thought I was coming out and I was going to like be birthed into my new career or life path, and I see myself with this like blonde flowing hair that's like this Leo, because I have Leo sun, and this lioness that's just gonna conquer, and I really went into a deep cocoon, and in that muck and kind of chrysalis, kind of like just I'm a time of nourishment and of being able to just take in the medicine that my body and my soul needs at this time. And it's that's beautiful about life, is that we have those ups and downs. And someone had said, "What's your path been like?" And it's like a smooth kind of roller coaster, but I like the spiral path even better. But I like saying that it's smooth because even though parts might be jarring or surprising, I just feel like I've been held. And I wanted to publish another book, and that's, in draft form still. And I'm working on nervous system um, cards that I would like to publish to help other people be able to regulate their nervous system. that's how I want to spend my energy right now, is like nourishing myself and supporting you. So thank you for this opportunity. And I love you all so much. And I really truly mean that, whether I just do.
Next. So I love that we're having the anniversary because it was a reminder and an opportunity to reflect. And a couple things that when I was first aware of this group that was forming, um, a couple things came to my mind. One is I had been thinking about, I want to write a book. I know there's a book inside of me, but I was getting hung up on the hows because I'd never published before. And it's kind of scary. And do you self-publish? Do you find a publisher? How do you, what do you pay? Where are the traps and the pitfalls? And I realized it wasn't coming to me. Well, two things. One is I wasn't writing, and I was allowing the I don't know how to be my barrier. And one of the things that I had learned, it was this aha moment. It's such a little thing, but it's not the how, it's the who. And my friend Ellison and I were having a conversation, and she's like, "Oh, I'm part of a book." And about the time I was thinking I was going to have to give up on my dream and figure it out later. And I was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And she's like, "It's part of an anthology, and I'm going to write a chapter." And I was like, "Oh, I would have loved to have been doing that. We need more people," she says. And I'm like, "Oh." So it was very, it was timely, it was the universe answering my question and or my desire, which was to be published, and not getting hung up on the how to do it, figuring out who could I reach out to. And Ellison would not have come to mind. It just happened that it came up in conversation. So that was part of the path. The other thing I was thinking as I reflected, when I wrote my chapter, it was about my fierce awakening. When I realized I was living a life that I thought I should have been doing, or I ought to, because that's what my parents expected of me, and all those, and I wasn't living an authentic life. So I had my fierce, I was going to call it a rude awakening. I had my fierce awakening, and I just, kind of scrapped my old lifestyle. Says I'm going to start over. I'm going to live the life that I want to live. And so that's where I was. Well, it had happened prior to writing the chapter, but it was really cathartic to put it in paper and realize I'm sharing that experience with other people. So now, as I'm reflecting, it's 2 years later, and I feel like I'm still on a path. We're all on a path of some sort. I think I went on a couple of little detours, which were fun and exciting, but I still have this calling that I haven't been serving my purpose in coaching other women who are experiencing overwhelm and burnout. And that has been so strong the last 2 months that I'm stepping back into that path. I'm looking for my speaking opportunities, and I'm doing more writing and those types of things. I'm also had decided that I needed to become a little more physically fit because I'd gotten very sedentary. And so a couple weeks back, we decided to start, my husband and I are doing hikes. And of course, the first hike we picked was probably the hardest one pick. I don't know why, but I keep thinking, well, in a year from now, I'm going to do that hike again and it's going to be easy. But the reason why I bring up fitness and the hike is because the name of my company is Journey to Wholeness. And I often use path and well, journey, any modes of transportation, could be hiking, could be driving, plane trips, as metaphors. So as I was doing my hike, I was re-experiencing patterns in my life. I'm real excited. I know where my end goal is, to reach it was to get to a waterfall. And at first it felt easy, and then it felt hard. And then the self-talk kept coming along. It's like, maybe you're not strong enough to do this. Why did you think this was and then the body was aching. I was going through all these tribulations, but I also knew I'm not a quitter, and I was going to make it unless I somehow fell down and hurt myself. And I did. And what I'm realizing is the thing about the spiral path, at least for me, is it bends and you can't see what's up ahead. You just have to trust and keep going. And that's how I felt on this hike. I was like, I know there's a waterfall at the end somewhere, and yet it's a struggle to get to where I wanted to go. And not everything in life has to be a struggle, but that was the metaphor apparently that I needed to feel at that point in time. So I love that I'm on a path. And I love that I still feel as if my spiral path is an upward swirl, so to speak, because I sometimes feel like there are people who are on a path and it's like circling the drain and they feel like they're getting lost. And I hope to be able to reach out to those people and help them stop going down and just find stability and then set them on their path and be a trail guide, as it were, for them. So that was my reflection about it. Wasn't so much about publishing Fierce Awakenings, it was all about the spiral path and how that feels even more true and more ingrained and more the path that I am on, and to share it. That's my calling, is to share that with others.
I I think that's the recurring theme, Sean. Thank you. Really.
I'm kind of a little bit like Sarah. I might have made one of the bigger moves. I left the United Arab Emirates, moved to Santa Fe, place I've never lived before. But during this process, I moved into a new house in Santa Fe. Don't know anybody. I didn't even know where the mailboxes were. I've lived 20 years in another country that don't even have mailboxes. I moved to this house and I'm even like, where do I get the mail? There's this point, and I think all of you guys have this, and I have too. I'm kind of doing it now, where you think you're circling the drain, but you're actually, a move is happening. It's going to happen. And there's this like, you don't know what's going to be next, but you trust that you're going to make the right choices while you're circling the drain. When you're circling the drain, you can trust yourself. You can trust your gut, and that's what I'm noticing about my life now, because now I'm like, I have no responsibilities. Really, I don't have any. I don't have to take care of my daughter. I don't have to take care of Ivy. They're all, I think, on a path to figuring it out themselves. What is it that I really want? And what I've ended up thinking about is that I've been saying a no to a lot of things because I know what I don't want. And I'm hoping, like Shauna was talking about, that I'm becoming more authentic to myself. So it's leaving a space, leaving a big open space that I'm comfortable with. I'm really comfortable with not knowing. And I think that's maybe the message all of us could probably take away from the book. I don't know about you guys, but we were all in a space where we just had to make a decision, a courageous decision. And I think that comes all the time. That space in between where you know what you're doing and then you're like, no, don't want to do it. And then what do I want to do? That space in between is scary, I think. But honestly, I think all of you guys, we have it in us to know what we want to do. Our gut's telling us. We just have to get rid of all the other, and particularly as a woman in this culture, in this society, we have so many things that people expect out of us. Like you have on 12 different dresses, which I haven't worn in 20 years, and you're just shedding them along the way. Just shed it, shed it, shed it. Not me, not me, not me, not me. So anyway, that's basically all. Thank you guys.
So much to say. Wendy or Roxy, would you like to go next?
I'll go. Gosh, it feels like so much longer than 2 years ago that we did this. There's been so much change. I know that I was just coming back into the Forest Service and to my forest, and then and so many amazing things happened, and it was really great to go back there and just have people be so welcoming, so happy that I was back, and just to feel like I was contributing so much. And then we decided after about a year that I should and I had hired two new soil scientists and I was mentoring them. We decided that I should go into leadership and become a leader. So I did a 5-month temporary assignment in Arizona doing that, and I just felt like home. I just, really felt like for the first time, I really felt a group of people I belonged with and who really embraced me, and it was just lovely. So I took that as a permanent job, and it was awesome. I just loved it. It was really, really hard. I had no time to really think about any of this stuff. And it was my first time not having most of my job be being a mom, as Susan's saying. And then, all this political stuff happened and things like that. I got caught up in the middle of it and ended up moving to Utah. And I've had a real dark night of the soul period of time, during which I have published 2 books, and now I'm publishing a third in a couple weeks. And I have 2 more in draft form. And as I was telling Jen, my sister has written many, many, many books. She's an extremely prolific writer, and the only one that's ever been published was her first one, which she wrote when she was 22, and I published it, back in a time when self-publishing was not so easy. And I realized, like, I don't even know if my stuff is that great or anything like that. I'm not going to spend forever trying to make it perfect like she does. I'm just putting it out there because, as we know, I'm a published author, and not only a published author, a best-selling published author, at least for a couple days. So, so I have that identity from our experience, and I know that's something Jen was hoping that we would have, is, like, after this process, we would have that identity as a published author and then as a best-selling author. And so I have that identity. And so I don't just write my books. I don't just think about them. I publish them. And I get a lot of feedback, like, you should have done it this way, you should do it that way. How are your books doing? All this kind of stuff. And I tell them, for me, it's not so much how it's doing or making a living or anything like that. It's actually putting it out there, and doing, art as Lyric Winters and putting it out there, just having art out in the world, whether or not anyone is buying or appreciating it. And then in terms of self-help and transformation and leadership, being more mindful about it and marketing it and that sort of thing, creating a brand using Substack, having it be a slow development, being strategic and mindful, but also not being so attached to what happens or how much money I make or that sort of thing. Just feeling empowered to do that for myself and not so attached to the ego that can go with it. So that's been my journey since Fierce Awakenings, and what it's still adding to my life right now. I have, among the other things on my LinkedIn that you know, professional identities that I have at the moment, I have author. And I have it, from the time that I started writing my first book until, to present. So I have it on there for like almost 30 years, is that, that I've been doing that. And I'm putting links to Fierce Awakenings and to my other books and adding them as I go. So that's part of the thing that is part of my identity. So it's pretty cool.
Amazing.
Right. Roxy, take your turn.
I'm amazed and in awe watching and listening to all of you, and I can see how much we've grown. And I'm so grateful for Jen for being the leader, fierce warrior, and saying, "Come on, woman, get over here." And it's just like how Shauna was saying about, like, she wanted to have this, she wanted to be published, right? And how Ellison kind of put it out there. And I feel that Sarah wanted to be published, and we just happened to be talking and walking. We would do walking. Our talks would be on a journey walking, each in our own place. And I happened to say, hey, what about, doing a little short little story? and would you be interested? And she said yes. And so it's amazing how and with Nicole had no, she did not want to be an author at that time. Later she did, and she was like, actually, this sounds good. And it's the little, so Jen is leading the way, and all of us felt the call in whatever way that we felt the call. And here we are now. And I said yes. And I had no idea. Just I went with my gut instinct and I went with my heart, which was yes, you have a story within you. You have a lot of stories there that they've been bubbling up. Let's share a story. Let's share a powerful story of introspection that may help other women, that may get them from that spiral down of the drain of how you guys say that up and to see beyond the the cloud that they are stuck in, because I feel it's like a fog and you can't see what's right there in front of you, and you need help, but you're just searching. And I feel that the book is like a little light. They can follow this light and they can follow the journey of all of us, and that fog kind of dissipates and keeps dissipating and they move forward. And that's my hope for them. And for where I am now, I am in a not knowing place, and I'm okay with that. I continue this journey. I continue with working with women with cancer, and I continue with having a business that's fairly new as far as like a place of building a structure that I'm in, which is an interesting feeling to be there. And it happened organically. It wasn't something that was forced. It wasn't like a plan that I had written down, like, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it. And yes, there's a place for that. And there's a place to be within yourself. And I know that that home is within myself. I have that safety within myself, that whenever something comes up or whenever I am spiraling around, that I have myself. And I've had, I don't know, I think I've had 4 more deaths since my mom died. And the most beautiful one was my grandmother's death. And I am first generation, and she died with all of her kids around her that are alive and in a home, in her home here. And it was beautiful to hold the space for her and to be there for her as she was dying, and the healing that happened with the family, and playing my bowls with them and having them all share around her. I felt generational healing that happened through that time. And it was beautiful, beautiful to witness. And yes, there was pain in there. There's still pain when you don't have that person physically in front of you. And I remember the times that she would cook, and that makes me happy again, or that she would be around as soon as light up, as soon as she'd see me. All those little memories that I have of her will always be in my heart. And I know that I can go there for her when I want her, and I feel her around as I'm talking about her. But this journey, the spiraling that we do, it's not going to stop. This is life. This is this is where we're at. I can see us in another year meeting, and we're on another path. It's trusting that we have ourselves, trusting that we have each other, that we can reach out, and really working from your heart space is what I can say. Working from your heart space and sharing that with others. So that's where I'm at.
We're going to run a few minutes long, so if anybody has to jump off at the top of the hour, just take care of you, do what you have to do. I'll take my turn. It's it has been probably the hardest 2 years of my life. Honestly, and it's self-made hard, like it's not that I've had life pushing down on me. I had myself pushing down on me. And it happened, actually, I didn't know it was going to happen. I came back from California last year, presented the documentary in California, published, this book, came back totally exhausted. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll just take the fall schedule in a different direction. And then by like January, I thought, okay, it's past my birthday. I'm going to come out. I've been in the worst cocoon of my life. I didn't even realize I was going into a cocoon. And it was like, it was really hard. I was like, I thought I was already the butterfly. And then I came to realize, no, I was just like the chomping caterpillar for these last few years, constantly chasing the gold star. And I had a very big breakdown with my 30-year-old self. She was really, really angry at me, like incessantly angry this early in the year. And she was making me count up successes. And so I had to. I put a timer on, and I counted up successes from from my early 30s to my early 50s. And I said, this is just what I could write down in 15 minutes. Like, can you imagine if you actually gave me an hour? And I started to see a lot of the mountains I've climbed to get there with my Capricorn self. And there was a moment I said, we did more than you could have ever anticipated. And her voice got a little bit quiet. She felt satisfied with that list. But in the interim period, I kept hearing, wait until July, wait until July, wait until July, wait until July. And then July came, and I have no idea what's actually started in July, but something did loosen. And then I've been working with, I'll mention it here because she's got a workshop tomorrow. She's a neurographic coach, and she uses neurographic, this way of doodling. And it's very structured, actually. It's not doodling at all, but to loosen things. And in a session she gifted me last week, all I kept hearing was not yet, not yet. You haven't met that person yet. Nope, don't make that choice yet. I think I wrote not yet 6 times on this list of words that kept coming up. And I'm like, all right, not yet. So I keep feeling like I'm coming. Nicole said that really beautifully, like that chrysalis and that thing. I feel like I've moved out of the goo of that, and I'm cracking the shell, but the juice in my wings aren't ready yet. And nobody can help me through that. Like, I've got to get the juice in my own wings. And I feel like coming, but it's been really interesting because I've been in an identity crisis. That's the best way I can say it. And I feel a lot of grief around losing an identity. And I can see it. And it's been curious because both the In Between book and Fierce Awakenings has become like the teachers of that. And I tell you all, and I told you all this, like, you write for your reader, you write for you publish for your reader. And now I'm like, yes, that's true. And you write for you publish for your reader, and then you come back and you become an apprentice to your own creations. And then it teaches you all the things that you didn't know when you wrote those books and those stories. And you start becoming the student of your life again. So I'm a student of my life again. And I keep thinking I'm this wise, great crone, but actually I'm just a toddler. I'm just a wise lady apprentice. And I'm about 2 years old on that identity. So I'm surprised to know that about me. I'm surprised to know that this particular bend, this last 12 months, this particular curve around the spiral path has been really critical. Critical in that I'm criticizing myself critical in that I know I have to, I know it's a shedding. Susan, that idea of throwing off your dresses. Yeah, I feel like I'm just gonna get myself naked and be someone completely different. And then, but then also learning, like taking time to study, like menopause is a big freaking deal. It's a big, big deal. And it is a rite of passage that I am now coming to embrace. And I'm not, I joke about my hot flashes, but less because my body is like everything is rewiring itself. My body's changing shape, my mind is changing. Like the fact that I didn't get equinox straight in my brain for like 14 videos, like this is a deep rewiring and I need to honor that. So that's what's coming through for me is that I'm just learning. So thank you for being my mentors now on this turn through. Each of you have gifted me something you didn't even know you gifted that I'll reflect on in these videos. But you have all played a role in this, and I've been very comforted in knowing that you're all here and really only a WhatsApp message away. You know, if I really need help, I know I just have to put something in the group and something will turn up from it. So it's been really curious and unexpected. And honestly, still I was talking about you guys on Saturday. I said, you're still this project or whatever this Fierce Awakenings was in this gathering of the women. It is one of the most meaningful things that I've done professionally and personally. You know, it's like right up there with walk 10,000 miles, right? Like lead women through book writing and then watching each of you choose like how that helped you and where else it has taken you is like the most fulfilling thing that I could probably have ever gifted myself too. So. All right, let's chat a little bit more and reflect on each other's greatness. Thank you, everyone, for the hearts. It means a lot to me today.